Hey guys, welcome to the channel, and today we're going to deep dive into my thoughts of the brand new iPad Pro 2020. So who is this video for? Well, if you've currently got an iPad and you're wondering whether this release is one that you need to upgrade to, or if you've heard of the iPad Pro and you think it might be for you, but you've just not heard enough compelling arguments to actually take that leap, this video is for you. I've split this video into a few sections. First, we start off with my overall thoughts and opinion. Second, we move into a bit more detail. What are the new features of this model? Who the Pro model is for? What is now possible thanks to iPadOS and USB-C? And finally, dig into some size considerations. So what are my overall thoughts? Well, if you've got a 2018 iPad Pro, I'd say skip this video altogether. There really aren't any compelling reasons in my mind for you to make an upgrade. If, however, you've got the iPad Pro 9.7, 10.5, or you're just really looking to drop some cash on the best tablet in the market, then I'd strongly recommend you do jump in to this release. The improvements in iPadOS, inclusion of USB-C, overall hardware performance, amazing screen, and the second generation Apple Pencil really make this an absolute game changer of a device. Pair that up with the potential of the Magic Keyboard that's going to be released in May, and you really do have something very special on your hands. So what are the new features? Well, if we look at the rear of the device, they've added a new camera as well as a LiDAR sensor. The new camera is a wide-angle lens, always handy to have that. Although I've never been a big user of the camera on the iPad. I don't exactly go around walking, taking photos of things. However, it is handy to have that good quality for scanning documents and those kinds of things. You're not going to use a wide-angle lens for that, but nevertheless, always good to have. In terms of that LiDAR scanner, I think that's really good for people who are keen on AR games. The LiDAR scanner actually bounces frequencies off the object to create a 3D depth map, which is some pretty cool tech. Now, obviously, all the possible use cases for this are not out right yet. The apps still need to be developed, but it's cool to have that hardware in this device, which really just makes it a bit more future-proof. Then they've done a significant improvement to the microphone system. They've added a 3-microphone array to just give you some better quality studio-like sound. So what I'm going to do is do a bit of a comparison test to the Rode Video Micro, which is currently connected to my camera, and then the iPad Pro. So let's hit record, and now you'll hear I'm recording with the iPad Pro. Not quite sure how this sounds, but we'll certainly have a listen to it afterwards. And now I'm recording on the Rode Video Micro. Which one do you think is better? They've also given a bit of an upgrade to the Wi-Fi system. Now, I don't fully understand Wi-Fi 6 or the capability that it brings, but obviously every single iteration of this makes it a lot more quicker. So if you have a router that supports Wi-Fi 6, you're definitely going to get better speeds with the iPad Pro. And finally was the Magic Keyboard that we spoke about right at the beginning. And this is the device that is yet to be released. It'll be released in May, and it's just an accessory for the iPad. So it's compatible still with the 2018 model, and essentially it has a trackpad which is fully capable of multi-touch gestures. It also has a keyboard with decent sized keys. These have a decent mechanism similar to the MacBook Pro 16-inch, and you also have backlit keys as well. Really cool. So who is the Pro model actually for? Well, let's start off with the performance. Like I said, this is a powerful little machine and probably has a lot more power than most people even need. But if you ever do any 4K video editing, if you're an illustrator or graphic designer, if you work quite a bit on audio and you actually do recording and need lots of multi-tracks for various effects and that kind of stuff, this is the device for you. Or lastly, if you want to use the Apple Pencil 2nd generation, this is the only device that will allow you to use it, as well, of course, as the iPad Pro 2018. Now, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to get the Apple Pencil 2? Well, for me, it's just been so much better than using the first generation. It's lighter, a little bit more fluid, easier to hold. It has some double tap features, so you can switch between your normal pencil and your eraser. It attaches magnetically to the side, and while it's there, it charges, which is an absolute game changer for anyone who had the first generation, where you had to just have this little thing loose wherever you went. Definitely definitely not ideal. Also, like I said, the writing experience is just so much better. So for me, if you take a lot of notes, it's certainly a reason to look at this iPad. Next up is the screen size. Now, obviously the other iPads have much bigger bezels, and the Pro model has this nice thin bezel around the side, which gives you a lot more bang for your buck in terms of screen size to body ratio. In addition, the refresh rate on the screen is 120 Hz, which is the ProMotion technology, and that is absolutely incredible when it comes to browsing for apps, just doing your general day-to-day things. The fact that that screen can refresh a whole lot quicker than your normal screens that you work with really just makes everything so much more fluid. And lastly is the color profile of the screen. So it's got a P3 color gamut, which means if you're working on photo or video and you really need a color accurate display, the Pro model again is the one for you. So the next talking point is on the Apple ecosystem, and a lot of people talk about this ecosystem, and rightly so. What does it mean? Well, basically, if you have Apple devices already, obviously this is a great choice for you. Why? Well, you get AirDrop. AirDrop is absolutely amazing when it comes to sharing files back and forth between your MacBook and your iPad, or your iPad and your iPhone. It's just so convenient and really quick for big file transfers too. Secondly, you get iMessage integration, which means if you've got a chain going on your iPhone, you can just pick it up automatically on your iPad. Really is quite convenient. Next up is screen sharing. For those of you who have a drawing tablet, well, you can completely replace that now with the iPad Pro, where you can actually use the iPad as an external monitor, or like I said, as a drawing tablet, which is fully integrated with Apple Pencil and truly works really well. There is no lag, it is done wirelessly. I don't know how it's possible. What magic is this? But it works so incredibly well. And lastly is an Apple TV as well. This is where you need to share your iPad screen to an Apple TV for presentations or just showing your family some things you've been working on. It also works so well. So let's move on to the next section, which is what is now possible with iPadOS and USB-C. Well, iPadOS has in the last couple of years really started stepping towards more of a laptop type system. And what they've added is the file system, which really lets you access that internal storage on your device, copy files around, move files around, rename folders, rename files. And this is just more of a laptop type system and infrastructure than what we had in the past. Secondly, USB-C allows you to actually plug in an external hard drive. So when you want to work on files, no longer do you need to log into iTunes and copy it through the particular app you're using. You can literally just plug your hard drive straight in to the iPad Pro, copy files off it, work off of it, etc., etc. USB-C also lets you plug sound cards right into the iPad. So like I mentioned, if you are a musician or a podcaster or whatever the case is, and you actually need to plug your sound card, your high-end sound card, directly into your iPad, you can do that, which is absolutely fantastic. And lastly, iPadOS has now added mouse support. So as we mentioned, the Magic Keyboard has a trackpad, but you can also use your own external mouse now as it is. So you can use any Bluetooth mouse will work. It supports scrolling. If you have a Magic Mouse, it supports multi-touch features, although on my first generation, that's not working, but I'm sure they'll add support to that later on as well. But it is really cool to have that mouse support, especially if you're off on holiday or traveling or whatever the case is. You don't want to take your laptop with you, but you do want to be able to click around if you need to do those kinds of tasks. It's really cool that the iPad now allows you to do that. Lastly, we talk about some size considerations. So if you've now decided that the iPad Pro is for you, do you get the 11-inch or do you get the 12.9? If you're upgrading from one of the old iPad Pro models, definitely don't underestimate the 11-inch model because the screen size is certainly much bigger. I went from the 9.7 Pro version and I certainly noticed a massive difference. I'm really glad that I didn't go for the 12.9 inch in the end. I think it would have been way too big. So what are some of the things to consider in making this decision? Well, for me, it's the use case. Is this going to be a tablet that is sometimes going to be a laptop, or is this going to be a laptop that is sometimes a tablet? Obviously, if you're on the second part of that spectrum, you should get the bigger one because you're mostly going to be using this on a Surface with accessories connected to it. It makes more sense that you get the bigger screen. Otherwise, if this is mostly going to be a tablet, obviously you're going to need it for portability. So get the smaller one because it certainly is lighter, more portable. Still, still an absolute powerhouse. The spec between the two are exactly the same in terms of performance, so I would definitely then recommend that you go for the 11-inch model. Now lastly, something that not a lot of people were even talking about is the aspect ratio. So if you look at the 12.9-inch model, it's closer to a 4:3 aspect ratio, and if you look at the 11-inch model, it's closer to a 16:9 aspect ratio. So this depends really on what you use your iPad for. If you watch a lot of video, well, the 16:9 model is probably going to be more for you. If you're not too phased and you want more screen real estate for multitasking, that kind of thing, well then go for the 12.9-inch model. But this is just something extra to consider as well. That just about wraps up everything I wanted to discuss. Please let me know if you enjoyed the video by hitting the like button below or leaving a comment below as well. Hit subscribe if you want to see more from this channel, and last but not least, hit the notification bell if you want to get notified when I post a new video. Have a good one and see you soon.